And
Yo,
we're live.
yo.
Yo, yo.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to the third installment of the Good Price Show, where the price is always good. Um, we got a good episode for you. We had a few guests that, we wanted to get on. They didn't pull through, but hopefully, the following week we'll have them on and, you'll enjoy that as well. But yeah, lots of crazy stuff since last week. I mean, the markets, in terms of like coins, right? Like it's a little everyone's in turmoil a little bit, right? Um,
Yeah.
and Solana right now is just hovering just under 60, and the low was 37, which is crazy to think about, right? Just a few months ago, or let's say 6 months ago, we're hitting all time highs at 260, right? And now at 37, it's pretty wild how crypto goes. And for a lot of people, this is people's first cycle, um, and they haven't experienced that type of volatility. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Especially on
guess.
Solana, right, man? I mean, I think a lot of ETH people came from Bitcoin, and they're kind of like, the joke I make is like reformed Bitcoin maxis. But on Solana, it truly is, for a lot of people, their first experience in crypto, and certainly their first cycle.
Yeah, and I feel like when the market's in free fall, people there isn't much liquidity on the NFTs like for, let's say, a short period of time during that free fall. Um, and because people don't want to buy it and be stuck in a position that way and not have to, they can't sell it into a liquidity pool or anything, right? So that's why I think the liquidity goes down, just for that day or the short term. Um, and obviously, right after there was a little bit of bounce, and we saw some good liquidity, especially on Magic Eden. We saw some good volume. I think the other day we just hovered around 200K volume, or today, um, which is the 15th. So I think things are going pretty well. I mean, a lot of there was a few mints that came out. They did super super well. So people are still minting stuff. People are still trading their NFTs. There's good volume. OK Bear is still killing it. We'll talk about them as well. Um, so even in the bear market, right? Like the Solana community is really pulling. Like I'm actually impressed with like what's going on. Like it's really pulling together. Like there's a lot of Ethereum NFTs that have been in shambles. I saw them, even like some of the top tier NFTs, right? Aside from like, Bored Apes, where I mean they obviously took a hit in terms of the Ethereum USD value, right? But um, aside from the top tiers, like even in Ethereum, right? Um, they taken major, major hits, which was surprising to see. I hold a bunch of
Yeah.
Ethereum NFTs as well, and they, have been on a downtrend, right? As Ethereum's decreasing, also, in USD terms, it's also decreasing in the Ethereum floor itself. So it's like a double whammy.
Yeah. I mean, I think ETH is a pretty cool case study right now, because you've got the top projects like, Punks, Bored Apes, Clonex, Azukis of the world. And there's kind of a pretty big divide between the top projects and the middle of the pack, or bottom ones. So what's
Yeah,
happening is that basically it's like the same guys on Twitter just beefing, like Azuki versus Mutant
for
Apes, and
sure. There was a lot of
Bored
beef.
Apes versus Punks, right? There's just so much like back and forth, and in my conversations with people, I know you've ran into this as well, Iced. It's like, um, people are just kind of sick of that dynamic of like, they want to just one up each other, and they all want to be the top dog, but then that doesn't exist on Solana as much.
Yeah, for sure. Even like Cool Cats, I mean, they were regarded as, in some people's eyes, a blue chip for a little while there. And, they've been on a downtrend for the last few months. Um, it sucks to see, but people invest tons of money in these NFTs, sometimes more than they can really afford to lose. So obviously, it's a good refresher, um, and sometimes you don't have to put your hand in the fire to get burned, and you could like take a step back and be like, okay, like maybe I shouldn't be over invested in these things because of how volatile crypto is, and the NFT space in general as well. So it's a good reminder, I guess. But it doesn't mean like your next mint you can't 100x, right? So just adjust your risk accordingly.
Yeah, and on the risk topic, I think something that was pretty interesting this week is I saw a tweet from Alex Becker talking about how, um, NFTs are acting like the shit coins of this cycle, pretty much,
Yeah.
and Solana NFTs in particular are like the altcoins of the NFT world, right? At least relative to like the ETH blue chips and stuff. So I thought that was a pretty interesting tweet. I definitely have seen like a ton of people who I would say traditionally were like day traders or shitcoin traders and now are full like NFT mode. And then I also see the point on Solana. I mean, people will continue to move out the risk curve when the risk reward ratio is not there on ETH. In other words, you're getting not enough return for a level of risk, or too much
Yeah.
risk for a certain level of return. Like you're going to continue to move out until kind of that suits your taste. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, even like I remember during the BSC shitcoin phase, right? Like a lot of people that onboarded a lot of people to crypto in general, in my opinion. Um, like some people like they've heard of Bitcoin, right? They heard of Ethereum, but they were like, I don't really know about it. And then their friends start telling them about SafeMoon. Their friends start telling them about Shiba or Dogecoin, right? Like all those types of coins, definitely onboarded a lot of people to the crypto world. Although, on a very basic level, right? Sometimes even just buying Doge or Bitcoin or Ethereum on Robinhood or something could be on the very basic level, right? They don't use um, anything that Ethereum is used for, right? But at least they own some Ethereum and they talk about it, right? They're exposed to it a little bit. Um, and then even further, right, during the BSC mania, like I remember like that was one of my first times using Pancake Swap.
Yeah.
Like I had traded crypto before, but I had never used Pancake Swap or the BSC chain in general, really, because I didn't really see too much use for it prior to that. Um, like I had bought BNB back when it was like $10 on when I was trading on Binance in 2017 originally. But I had only really bought BNB so I can get lower trading fees on Binance's platform because that's what they offered, right? So I was like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's the whole utility behind the coin. We'll buy BNB so I don't have to pay as big fees, right? They had like 50% off fees if you held BNB and paid for the fees in BNB. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, fuck it, I'll buy some BNB. And years later, a lot of building was done on the Binance Smart Chain, which is really cool to see. And I know even KuCoin has KCS and their chain, which isn't wasn't as nearly as successful, but it's good to see people following in that footsteps because I think it did onboard a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. I think honestly, like it's a great point. So many people get onboarded for one thing in crypto and then end up having like a super long career afterward.
Yeah, even like the Stepn thing right now, bro. You want to talk about the Stepn thing? Like it's pretty crazy.
Stepn is nuts. I mean, I personally like downloaded it a few weeks ago. I'm like late to the party, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, honestly, it was two things that really like piqued my interest. Right, first of all, like hearing people talk about it in different group DMs that I'm in. I know a guy who's made like 500 million or 500 million, 500K from this one app, right? So I was like, already, this potential is huge. But then I saw that their volume is surpassing Magic Eden on a lot of days.
That was a crazy
And
stat. I remember you told me that. I was like, holy
that
fuck.
that
I
was
didn't
crazy,
realize it was
dude.
that big. I really didn't realize it was that big, bro.
It's huge. And then
I mean,
I
I saw
download.
it, dude. Don't get me wrong. Sorry to cut you off. I saw it all over my timeline, and like I was like, damn, like how does this really work? Like, can I really just go running and earn money? Like, you know, whatever. Like, how does this all work? And I was too focused in on NFTs and what the market was doing. I really didn't, uh, you know, pry my energy in that, and that's something I regret like right now.
Yeah, man. I honestly like I downloaded the app because at first I was gonna buy some shoes on Magic Eden, and then people were like, no, 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 dude, like you download this like App Store app and it's all in there. So then I downloaded it and it's like super smooth. I mean, you create like an internal wallet that's like a phantom wallet, super easy to use. And it's got the marketplace right there in the app, super self explanatory. And I can just see how normies love this. I mean, even crypto natives love it, right? So
Yeah, we were
I'm really
talking about it.
impressed, man.
Yeah, dude, we were talking about it. I think in the Enigma chat about how how many people this impacted and how it gets people active, and it's cool because they incorporate crypto into it. And the last time I saw something like this and get people active was like Pokemon Go, and I thought that
Yeah,
was a
man.
really, really, I forget who said that, in one of our group chats, but it was a really, really good point. I'm like, damn, I remember, in the summer of 2016, I'd see herds of people, going like, especially in like parks and public areas, right?
Bro, it
Like
was
I
the
know
best
people
time.
even were going to trespass, to go catch like some Pikachu or something, right? Like it
Bro, it
was
was
it
the
was
best
nuts.
time. You meet people in your city that you like had no chance of meeting otherwise. It was amazing. I think that's the closest we've ever been to world peace.
To world peace.
I mean, honestly, bro, people were just
uh,
vibing. Like, you'd be over there at the park, you just call like a Dratini or whatever, and some guy would be like, "No way, dude. Let me show you my collection," and you'd be like, "Let's fucking go."
yeah, dude,
It was awesome, man.
it's crazy. I remember summer 16 was a different time,
Dude, but
dude.
Stepn honestly is bringing those kind of vibes. Like,
I
token
know
is
that's
it,
why
yeah,
that's why we spoke about it in our group chat. I was like, damn, like that's actually a pretty good relation to make. Um,
yeah. And
Getting
then I
people
saw
active.
the other thing for me that kind of like really piqued my interest was the fact that like a partner from Multicoin Capital, which is one of the biggest VCs, like one of the biggest holders of Solana and just serial like VC investor, um, left the fund to join Stepn, and I was like, whoa, man, like these guys must have some crazy shit cooking, or I mean, they're obviously familiar with it. They probably invested in it, but the
Yeah.
fact that they're getting partners from Multicoin to join is bullish. And I was like, wow, this thing probably has legs. I mean, to be completely
Yeah.
honest,
I
if I was a
mean, it goes
partner,
back.
I wouldn't leave, right? Unless this thing had legs.
Yeah, it goes back to the idea that you invest in people, right? And you might have a great idea, and ideas are super important, right? Like a shitty idea will never do well, but once you have the great idea, you're gonna have to execute on it, and you're gonna have to put people in place to execute on it. So if you have a good team around you, you have good leaders, you have people with proven track records, good backgrounds, whether that be through schooling or through their experience, whatever it is, right, or both. Um, that's where you can find confidence in people and know that they can execute on the ideas or have a better chance to execute than anybody else. Um,
Yeah.
and that's one of the guidelines I like to use when I invest in something. Not only in NFTs, but like in crypto or even stocks or anything in general. Um, it's not always the case, right? I just think it's good guidelines to stick by because sometimes you have somebody like I don't know what's a good example, but somebody that's a nobody, right, and comes out of the blue and creates something massive. But that's always possible too. Um, I just think it's an
Yeah.
easier bet to make when somebody with a proven track record is going to do something, and if it succeeds, it can be scaled at a
No doubt,
let's say
man.
a global rate, and you're like, fuck it, this guy has many W's in the past. Like I think
Yeah.
this is going to be another W, right? So
No,
it's as simple as
track
that,
record is
in my
track
opinion,
record
right?
track record is everything, bro. Like I come from a Tradfi background where you were working with management teams for like helping them raise capital or helping them advise like on a transaction or helping them sell their company or helping them acquire a competitor. And like you could just tell like whenever there's a good team, man, like it makes such a difference. Like if a team has had several successful exits and they've done this a few times and they've got a track record, it's like everything just falls into place for them, man. Like the financing is like a done deal. Like the lawyers are
For
more
sure, yeah.
confident. Like
It's
everybody's way
familiar
more confident.
territory. That's why. Even
Yeah,
like I don't want to say like everything has its own clear cut path, but they're problem solvers is what they are. Like
for sure.
you're gonna have problems along the road, and if you're not somebody who can adjust to your current circumstances or situations and think quick on your feet, um, then you're probably not in the greatest of hands. But
Yeah,
people that can do that, right? Those are the people you could have confidence in my opinion. Like I said,
for sure. And like the thing going back to Stepn
yeah,
that also
dude.
blew
How
me
about
away.
fucking OK Bears, dude? Nuts.
Okay,
Fucking, they
Bears.
launch straight to like 180 in a few days. 500,000 sold in volume the first week. I think today they just broke the record for the most
Yeah,
volume on Solana. They
for
just passed the
SMB and
DGNH.
DGen apes. It's crazy, man. I
Yeah,
it's actually crazy. Like,
they're hitting a new all-time high in floor in Solana. In USD terms, I don't think so, but they're getting close to it as well, right? Solana's just under 60, like I said earlier.
yeah,
Um, at their high was 180 with Solana at probably around 100 or 90. Um, so probably just around 17, 18K right now. It's looking like what is it, like 220? I saw 220 with Solana just at like 57.
yeah.
So
225. They're crushing it, man.
yeah, they're
I
doing
feel
well.
like there's so
A
many,
lot of big dogs coming in too.
a lot of big dogs. I mean, Nate Rivers is like the best salesman I've ever heard, and he's brought up a lot of ETH whales with him. Banks, who and like other ETH people like CyberKong's OGs, like builders on ETH. I mean, it feels like this has so much momentum behind it. Imagine you're on ETH right now, Ice. Like, all you can see on your timeline from Solana are OK Bears, right? So, as far as ETH people are concerned right now, like the best way to go long on Sol NFTs is by buying OK Bears, and I think you can't ignore that movement.
Yeah, I wish I had traded them better because they obviously had huge pre-mint hype, and there's a lot of FUD on the timeline, and they look similar to the Bored Apes, and the website marketing looked very similar. The logo, right, looked very similar to Azuki, and a lot of people pointed out a lot of similarities. Um, questions, the artist and the brand's originality. But all of that, it looks like it's quickly falling over, right? Like everybody's getting over, like, fuck it, dude. Like they have their own slogan, they have their own logo, they're coming out with their wristbands. Which is also a little bit of a meme. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I
for
mean,
sure, man.
the floor price, doesn't lie, right? Like that's crushing it. So people who were the early investors and fought through that FUD, they're the ones that are gonna have the last laugh. It looks like, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think like OK Bears is a case study in just being an easy sell, right? Like an easy pitch to someone. Like if I mean, on the surface of it, I'm probably gonna catch flack for saying this. By the way, like for the record, I have OK Bears. I love the project, and I love what they've done for Solana. Amazing, but on the surface, they're basically a Bored Ape derivative, right? Insofar as the art, they're not apes, but they rely heavily inspired on Bored Apes, which is not an issue. But like, let's call things what they are. Uh, but I think their website was so good, and the movement that they were able to quickly get going, like they have such diehard fans, and it's
Well, their
such an
slogan as
easy
well
sell.
with Wagbo, and everybody loves that.
Right,
That's
right.
gonna
And
This is gonna
the
get clipped
slogan
so
is
out of
corny.
context, dude. You're gonna get fucked.
I mean, bro, I don't care. Like for the
No, I
record,
feel you. But
I
also,
mean,
it
whatever.
also, people have different definitions of what a derivative is anyway, right?
Yeah, maybe
Um,
maybe not derivative, but I mean like, you know,
inspiration. I feel like
yeah,
you could
it's
use that
it's
word,
heavily
right?
inspired on it, right?
You
Like I
can't
think some
deny
of
that
the
there are some certain similarities, right? Like there just
for
is.
sure, for sure. But also that's what the market's rewarding right now, so you can't really blame them, and they've done it well. I mean, their website is awesome. It had elements of like reminded me a little bit of Azuki's website. Like it looks awesome, man. Like people love it, and I think the biggest point I wanted to get across is that like it's an easy sell. Like if you try to explain to your friends why they should buy OK Bears, it's so simple for them to understand, right? It's like, oh, this is like could be the Bored Ape of Solana, and it only costs $10,000, which for NFTs is pretty cheap for a blue chip, right?
Yeah, I
And
think.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let
no,
you
I was
finish.
just gonna say, like, compared to some of the value props we have on Solana that are insanely complicated, like if you had to explain to someone what shadowy supercoders is, where it's like, oh, this is an IRL business called Genesis Go, and they offer infrastructure as a service, and you can rent your own RPC node validator or whatever, and they also have a thing called the shadow drive, which is decentralized storage. And it's like, here are the
Yeah,
tokenomics,
it's
here's
a
a
lot
white
harder.
paper.
It's a
It's like
lot
a
harder for the
30-page
normies to
white
understand.
paper to even understand it,
Dude,
right? So,
I don't even fully understand it, dude. Like, I'm gonna be
bro,
honest. Like,
same.
yeah. So I know what you mean. On the surface level, it's an easy sell. Like, it's easy to understand, and that's partially why I think Cardano is so successful, because it's just a normie coin, and they see the price that's like 50 cents or a dollar. They're like, oh, when it reaches Ethereum level, well, 2000x my money. You know,
Bro,
and
it's so
they don't even have concept of market cap. It's crazy.
it's so
Um,
misleading, right? Because people see that coin at like whatever 25 cents and they're like, "Oh man, I'm so early. Like I'm not going to buy ETH, it's too expensive." Half of these people don't even know you can buy like a fractional ETH, right?
yeah, they don't
It's
get it
crazy.
whatsoever,
It's
dude.
crazy, bro. Like I mean, for me, it's kind of scammy behavior. But hey, this is a game for attention, and it's a game for eyeballs. It's the attention economy. Like if you can come up with a marketing strategy that positions your coin better than others, like bro, I mean, that's pretty much the name of the game right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think people should really be careful when they say like, oh, this is a board ape of Solana, right? Because we've heard that a few times before. I mean, I've heard it with the Meerkats early on. I heard it with a few other projects down the road, and then I heard it
Geckos,
again with
Degen
cats.
Ape.
I heard it. Yeah, heard it with DJ Apes. I heard it with Cats on Crack. And, the Cats on Crack also had some similarities. Um, but they have very original traits. I can't hate on the Cats on Crack. I like the Cats on Crack a lot. Um, but yeah, then obviously we said it about OK Bears as well, right? By we I mean like the Solana community in general. A lot of people have said that. Um, so I think people they love that narrative. Sorry. Um, but they have to also be careful because it can be very misleading, right? Like we don't know if the OK Bears team is as good or can deliver like Yuga Labs can, right? Like we
Bro.
haven't really seen another project deliver like Yuga Labs. They bought Punks 1 year after, right after the entire 1 year after they had launched, bro. Even like 11 months in, they bought Punks, they bought Meebits. They launched their other side, land sale. They've done crazy things in a year. That NFT, if you had minted, I think with all the ape coin, with the mutant ape drop, with the dogs, I read somewhere between like 600K net
Yeah,
profit if you had minted
bro.
one
It,
ape.
it, it was
How
like a
absurd is that?
it's like a
So
four
so
thousand x,
making
right?
so making those types of comparisons can be really really misleading. It's good for the narrative. It's good to push the project, like because it's an easy sell. I just think people should be careful. I've used, I'm a not a victim, but a hypocrite myself because I've definitely used that before in the past. And I should probably, be carefully saying that moving forward because it can be very, very misleading. Um, but it's also not bad because, like, I mean, not that, but it's also like you could just say, "Okay, Bears are the OK Bears of Solana." Like it's okay to be original with it, right? Like I know Azuki has all their FUD around them right now, or then a lot of people moved over to Doodles or Clone X, right? And they're right, they're very creative and original. Azuki as well, because the anime stuff didn't really pop off until Azuki really popped off. Um, at least I didn't see, right? And obviously there's a whole Azuki FUD now, but they all created their own narrative, right? They weren't crypto punks, they weren't bored apes. Nobody said these are like bored apes, right? Because they were completely different.
Yeah,
Um, so
for
yeah, I
sure,
think
man.
people shouldn't be scared to be like, what, this is OK Bears, and Wagbo, and that's it, and leave it at that. And we're gonna
Yeah,
be successful, whatever. You don't necessarily need to compare it to anything. I do it myself a lot, because it's easy for people to be like to match things and be like put things in perspective. I get it; it's easier. It just sometimes can be a little bit misleading. So I don't know. I urge people to like, I don't know, be careful with that type of stuff.
for sure, man. I think the term is so played out, like the board ape of. I've heard that a million times, and
Yeah, I
90,
mean that sells
95% of
though,
the
like you were
time
saying.
it sells, and like people want that quick rule of thumb. It's like, oh, what is this? Oh, it's line art and it's a 10K. It's like, okay, well, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
like
dude.
trust me,
Lionheart
bro.
and
This
a
is
10K doesn't get you Bored Ape status, right? For obvious
yeah,
reasons.
this is the board ape of this cycle. Source, trust me, bro. That's all
Yeah,
you got to
source,
do.
trust me, bro. And like what I'd like to see, honestly, is like, OK Bears have all the momentum in the world right now. I think what remains to be seen a little bit is the team and roadmap. I don't have anything to believe that they aren't going to do a good job. But of
Yeah,
course,
I
if
think
you're
they're
going to
also
go for that
closely working
title,
with Magic Eden, right? Being on their launch pad, and I know Magic Eden was backing them as well.
yeah. I
So
mean,
I think,
but Yuga's setting a high standard of exexecution, right? So,
of
I mean,
course,
if
dude,
they're going for
you
that
can't
title,
compare
they,
anything to Yuga. Yuga's in
yeah, yeah,
a land of their own, right? Literally. Um,
for sure.
so it's really hard to compare stuff like that. But doesn't like I said, doesn't mean the Bears aren't going to do well, right? They're going to do well. But yeah, cool. We got that over with.
Yeah, I mean, OK Bears,
We're
what
gonna
can I
get
say?
clipped and we're gonna get fucked, dude.
Bro, I mean, what can I say? Like 18
No, I
million in
feel you. I
volumes
feel
in
you.
7 days. Like, I mean, it's almost hard to talk about Solana NFTs without talking about OK Bears right now. I mean, I guess that leads into our next point around like ETH money and people coming in. Like, there's it almost seems like these days that there's like Sol NFTs for Sol people and Sol NFTs for ETH people.
A little bit, right? Because they don't really ape into the new mints. They don't really. I feel like I don't know. I said this elsewhere, and I'm like, I feel like people on Ethereum who've come over, they aren't minting anything. They're just more so buying on secondary. Then I said this on Spaces, and then somebody says, no, I think they actually are minting stuff, and they're also buying on secondary as well. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm blind to it, but I don't know. Every time I see people tweeting with let's say Ethereum PFP on Twitter, it's always like a week or two after that project's launch or more. It's never like the day of launch being like, hey, I just got my, you know, bridged, or I just got my OK Bear, whatever. It's never what minted that day or then a few days within. It's like always later on secondary. So I don't feel like they're minting. I could be wrong. But I feel like once they start minting, that's when we're going to be, see a huge, huge change.
Yeah, I feel like everyone starts in the same way, right? They pretty much, I mean, imagine you're an ETH person, right? You've probably seen like SMBs on your timeline from now and then. You've seen people talking about Solana NFTs, but this is very different because this is like people from their own circles that are actually like aping into OK Bears and shilling them on it. So I think it's a different movement this time. It comes from within. And yeah, man, like people's first experience on Solana for a lot of people will be OK Bears. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I feel like that's just where they start. And over time, I mean, maybe they just vibe in OK Bears community. That's all they do. But others will probably branch out and take a look at some new mints or take a look at some older projects, whatever. Like, that's a cool thing about NFTs. Everyone just like does their own thing.
Yeah. No, it's cool, bro. It's really, really cool. I mean, I remember even like there was a point in time, probably within I don't know, October, November, maybe a little bit of December. There were some ETH guys coming over and dabbling. They were buying some S&Ps, they were buying some Dragons, they were buying a few things here and there, but they're more so just be like, I'm just gonna park my money here just in case. Just in
Yeah.
case Solana NFTs pop off, I'll know I'll have some Solana NFTs and they'll do well if the Solana NFT market does well. I'll just park money here just in case. They weren't really convinced. They were more so just like, I'll just park money here just in case, like a moonshot type of thing.
Yeah,
And
man.
if you fast forward 6 months and they're, now they're starting to pay attention to the market as a whole, and they're more than happy to go buy on secondary and check in on their NFTs. And if the NFT goes down, they might be inclined to buy the dip, right? They're traders in the market themselves. So I guess there's the difference, I think. And I think we're starting to see that now. I'm hoping, I'm happy and sad that Solana went down at the same time because I wish I had more capital to buy. And at the same time, I think it sets us up perfectly for Solana summer. Because if the price of Solana is low, it'd be hard for Solana to really do shitty through, the coming months.
Yeah.
Um,
No, for
because it's
sure,
already
man.
so low. So even let's say it goes to like, 40, 30, people wouldn't be as phased, in my opinion, right?
It's a great
Um,
point. I think like what you just said is so important. Like low Solana is so key for onboarding. And like we always remember like you and me, like we've been around since the early days of Solana, right? NFTs. But we definitely view this as like most of our, net worth is already invested like on Solana in projects or like liquid in the coin, right? So, we don't view it through the lens of like new people coming in. I mean, when Solana was $220, that fiat on ramp is just so painful for people, right? Like, we never view it through the lens of like new money in. Whereas, I think that new money in and those new users and unique wallets is just so important for Solana long term. So I think, having affordable mints for people to ape into is honestly the best ad
sure.
Solana can have.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I don't know how mints are really gonna go. I saw, a few mints that are, 2, 3 Sol. 3 is generally on the higher side, but I understand because obviously Sol has declined in value, um, the past few months. So I understand the increase in Sol because, some people people have bills to pay. They have to pay their devs. They have to pay the core team. People got to get paid for their work, their artwork, whatever, right? And people obviously still are concerned with the USD value, right? Because they need to pay their bills, they got to live. Um, they have dependents, so they can't just stick all their net worth in Solana and be okay with the volatility, right? This is their full time job. So for a sense of security, right, it does kind of suck sometimes that knowing like, okay, we're gonna mint a few thousand Sol or 10,000 Sol, however much it is, and have that team like stable up almost immediately. But you have to understand like people have to get paid, and they have their finance whole structure in place. I'm assuming, right? You'd hope.
Yeah.
So they can't just change and be like, if they held from 100 to 60, right? Their entire mint funds just cut 40%, and they hadn't obviously accounted for that. So a lot of people can complain about that, but the reality is until, things get a little bit more stable, which I don't see is going to happen in the near future. Um, I don't see a problem with stabling up all or, a significant portion of the mint funds. What do you think about that? I don't know.
I mean, it's a big debate, right? I think like when the market's down, everyone wishes they had more cash, and when the
Yeah.
market's up, everyone wishes they had less. I mean, that's like the the
And
issue,
when it
right?
goes down, dude, we never have cash.
Right,
I'm
right. And then it's
it's
like
always
everyone
it's always
what
that scenario, bro.
when
It's
it when
fucked.
it goes down, teams are getting flamed for not putting enough in cash, and when it goes up, people are like, why
Oh, you're
didn't you
so
have
smart.
more in Soul? Like
They're
why didn't you open a 10x levered long on Mango Markets? Like if you knew this shit was going up, like why didn't it's your duty to maximize the treasury for the benefit of the holders.
Solana to 1000 was programmed.
Bro, I mean, people are so ridiculous. They act like they can, see the future, and then it's all in hindsight,
I
right?
think, dude, I
Obvious.
think if you're bullish on Solana, like there's nothing wrong long term holding it. The problem is if you're gonna have bills along the way, you're gonna have to sell Solana at unfavorable times. So
Here,
instead
here's
of
what I
taking the
recommend. Here's what I recommend to projects, if any projects are listening. Take your essential like expenses that you are going to incur in the first 6 months and stable that amount of money. And then, okay, if you're generating a ton of money on secondary and you're executing super hard, you're going to have plenty of royalties coming in that can give you a lot of upside that you can play with, right?
yeah, you could also stable up a portion of that too. Like have a
Yeah,
whole, you know.
completely. You can go crazy with it. Like you can stable up 6 months of expenses. You can stable up 9 months of expenses. You can do a full year of expenses. Of course, a lot of projects aren't building for the long term, right? So like they literally like sell out the mint and then like off ramp it and thanks for playing, boys. Like it's just
Thanks for
taking the
playing,
liquidity.
boys. See
It's
you
like
later, buddy. See you next
yeah,
time.
it's been fun. I'll see you
That's
next
fucked.
week when I do another mint, right? So there's a lot of that going on as well, which just takes money out of the ecosystem. But I think overall, like, yeah, good teams that are executing, they don't have a problem generating a lot of royalties. Like if they're being good team members and they're driving value, they're
Yeah.
gonna see that back in the form of volumes. So
Yeah, even, obviously, OK Bears, they have 7.5% royalties, which is actually, relatively high, for, royalty structures in general. I feel like Solana NFTs are known for this, having high royalties on secondaries. I really like that. There's a few projects that have like 5 or less percent, and I really like trading those because it's easier to trade, and that also drives more volume, in my opinion, um, because it encourages people to flip. Which sometimes, hear me out, right? Some people might not like that, but it does encourage volume, in my opinion. I may not be as inclined to flip something had it had, let's say 10% or 15% secondary
yeah,
fees, right? Because it's way harder to flip that. If it's a 2x, it's really like a 1.5. So it's really,
for
really
sure.
hard to do that type of stuff. So although it may not encourage, buy and hold, it does encourage people to flip, which uh, could in turn increase the volume. I know DGen Apes, I think, have 4.5% or 4.2%, which I really, really like. And they're, one of the top volumes on Solana. And then you have DGots, which are 10%, which is also relatively high, secondary fee. And they're also one of the top. They have almost 500,000 Solana traded. If not, maybe they already passed that. So, I mean, it really depends. I just personally like, I think, long term lower, secondary fees can result in more volume because, like I said, it encourages the flippers, and you're gonna need flippers for your volume. It's good for the team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you have to create a good area for people that want to flip into like a zone where people can scoop and sweep the floor, right?
Yeah,
So
there's
that's like
nothing people
typical
I see a
whale
lot of people getting
behavior.
shamed for flipping. Like, there's nothing wrong with flipping, right? Like, a lot of people are here to make money. A lot of people here are here to join a community and feel some sense of belonging within that. Um, People are here to build. They're here to network. They're here for, maybe a combination of all of that, right? So, um, a lot of people get, you know, barraged for selling. And they're like, dude, like, I can't believe you dumped on me XYZ. But at the end of the day, like, if you're going to buy an NFT, um, I mean, it goes up, let's say 50x, 20x, 100, like whatever the case may be, and it does multiple X's for you, you know, you're going to have to sell at some point, right? Like Function was saying the other week, if your Bored Ape did 1,000x or two, however much X they made, um, and let's say more than half your net worth is in that one picture. I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna be forced to sell. There's no other way about it.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like sometimes people like I mean, they're so reckless, right? People like gamble with their rent money, with their college money, or like their kids like college money. It's
For
crazy,
sure. What
man.
do you
Like,
think happened when everybody got stimulus checks? That's why fucking AMC, GME, all those meme stocks went to the fucking moon. Everybody bought that shit. Even
bro,
Doge.
I
Like,
remember the week they send those out, I went on Reddit and it's like the top thread on Wall Street
dude,
Bets.
everybody was using their stimulus to pump the stock market. That's literally what they
Bro,
did.
everyone is saying what's the most degen like out of the money toxic option I can buy that's just gonna
Everybody was
1000x.
like, dude,
I was like,
fucking
bro,
weekly, like $10 AMC calls, weekly, like $500 GME calls. Like,
crazy.
they were nuts with it, bro. They were nuts. And that
Crazy,
fucking
man.
group chat was crazy, dude. And they got so popular so quickly. I remember I joined when they had like, I don't know, 200K, um, you know, Reddit followers. And I really never even really went on Reddit. Just for a few things whenever I had like some questions, and sometimes they had some good threads on something. But um, I wasn't really using Reddit too much, but I joined that shit because I think I saw it on Twitter, um, or in one of my group chats, and I remember they within like a few weeks they went straight to like 2 million. It was nuts.
Yeah, dude. And they went to 10 million. I think they're like 15 million now. It's crazy. I mean, it kind of shows you the whole like new generation of retail people, right? I mean, these are people that like I mean, I think it comes from the fact that interest rates were so low and are so low that like there's no point in having your cash just sitting in the bank. It's doing nothing for you. And
For sure.
and
I think a
people
lot
are,
of people
yeah,
realize that, by the way. Sorry to cut you off, but like the financial literacy between like 10 years ago versus now, I think that we've come a long way, in my
no,
opinion.
we have for sure, man. And I think people are pretty plugged in as to like inflation and stuff, and they know like their purchasing power is getting eroded. So they're like, okay, well, I need to go out there and do something that grows my money, right? And I'm not saying necessarily like Wall Street bets is the answer, God forbid, but
But it could be, right? Like,
it
it
could
might it
be.
might,
I mean,
you might hit that, but
bro, and also like it's just the fact that people are even out there searching for new investment alternatives is what can lead them to, Wall Street bets or crypto or NFTs
yeah,
or whatever.
in my opinion, if you're under the age of 25 and you have no dependence or financial responsibilities, I think right now, like I said, if you're under 25, have no dependents, have no financial responsibilities, I think that would be the best time for you to take as many risks as possible. Um, whether that be in terms of investment, right? Um, whether that be in real estate or the stock market or in crypto or whatever, right? Jewelry, whatever. I think that's like prime time because once you get older, you start having dependents. You have children. Your parents get older. Uh, God forbid, maybe they don't have a retirement account or they didn't set up for their retirement. Um, you get older, you have pay for housing, you pay for your car, you have all these expenses. But when you're young, you really don't have shit. Um, and if you lose, if you have a few $1,000s to your name, you're broke anyway. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
if you lose that few thousand, you were broke one way or another.
I think it's also like when you're young, you can get wiped out, and of course it's going to be a setback, especially if you have
you
debt.
have so much more time.
But you have time to make it back, right? And I think that's what it comes down to. I think if you have debt, I mean that begins to be a very dangerous game. If you have liabilities, if you have a mortgage, if you have, even student loans, like that is like really dangerous area because if you default on those, then that can be really bad. So and that can ruin your credit as well. So I wouldn't recommend that to anyone. But if you're debt free and you're a young person with like a fairly strong income, like it's okay, man. Like you can totally like try your hand at this stuff. And I just tell people like go into it slowly because a lot of people like bet too big on the first like few things they see, expecting it to just be easy, right? And then they get wiped
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
going
dude,
into it,
at the time, I was still getting my degree in finance, and I still didn't know anything, right? I was just taking the gen ed courses and like the introduction courses, like all the electives and shit. So I hadn't started my major yet. Not that it really mattered because I didn't learn anything in school. Um, but I made a lot of early mistakes. Had I known now, and I'm sure I'm going to continue to make those mistakes. But when I'm like 30 or 35, I won't be making those mistakes, and I'll be a much more mature investor.
yeah, I feel that as well, bro. I feel like all the mistakes that you made or that someone makes are really what like shape who you are, and it's so key, man. I'm all about that. Like I I have, man, I've made more mistakes than I care to admit. Like I've taken some major L's, but it's that those lessons that allow you to like, get the reference points and the pattern matching and everything else to really like make better decisions moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's all a lot of people say like it's all about the experience in the market. And you have to be willing to learn. Like your willingness to learn, you have the hunger for it, and you're like nobody, dude, people hate losing money. Like don't get me wrong, right? Like I don't want anybody to think like, oh, I can come in, not lose any money. It's up only, right? And that's all good. That's all great. And I see a lot of people on Twitter, especially like veteran traders. They're like, if you made money within the last few years, don't think you're a good trader. It's just that we've been in an up only market. I don't know if you've seen that on Twitter or that narrative.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, but I mean, some of that definitely holds true. I mean, I personally like, I mean, I don't really have too much experience trading in a bear market. So I hope I don't, fuck myself at some point. Um, I guess, through 2018, 2019, maybe a little bit, but I really wasn't doing too much because I really didn't have that much capital at the time. But um, yeah, I think that is also important to take note. Realizing the market trends, and am I a good trader or am I just getting lucky here? Um,
Yeah, that's so important, man. I feel like so many
and like
people
I can happily admit, me minting an SMB was pure luck. I'm not going to say like it was I did some type of technical analysis or financial analysis, and I did tons of spreadsheets and PowerPoints and whatever type of regression analysis to get this shit. But it was just a degen mint, and it happened to have paid off. The monkey DAO came into fruition, and obviously drove was a driving factor for the value of the NFT. And I won't sit here and take credit and be like, yeah, I knew the shit was gonna go, at the high of one Bitcoin, 55K at the time. Um, I'd be lying if I said that, and I did get lucky with it. So knowing that is also really important. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
acknowledging that and be like, what? I actually did get lucky on this. Um,
You have to be self-aware, right? There's so many people that like they think they're traders and stuff, and I don't want to like disrespect these people, but like they're basically like trading little movements, like intraday movements or interday movements of like stuff that's trending upwards, like super strongly. Like this stuff is like, you know, trending upwards massively. So I'd compare it to like, I don't know, some dude that like is like, how do I explain this? He thinks like,
like in an up only market, like when BTC
yeah,
went
yeah,
from
like
like
imagine a
a
dude that
few
goes
K to
into
like
his
19K or in 2017, or even like
yeah, yeah,
right
or
before
like
COVID.
or people that are
Or
like BTC traders, like trying to day trade BTC or whatever, and then like, but they're just basically going long in a market that's like had amazing returns, right, for the last years, and it's like, what, like, how much is this is your skill and your ability and your edge versus like the broader trend, which is up only, like you said, right?
yeah,
So
and
it's
not to
very
take
important to understand like why things are going up, and also like take stock of like how much is this me, and how much is of this is like luck, right?
yeah, of course it's really important to know that, and know where the trends are heading, right? Like knowing trends and spotting trends is one of I think a top 5 investment strategy you could possibly have. Just spotting trends early in general. It's a skill set that you always have to adapt. You always have to look for the newest thing, look for what's hot, what's trending. It's a hard skill to master. To know
Yeah.
what to pick up on those trends. It's really hard, dude. Um,
It's a pattern matching. Like I feel like there's so many times I've gotten lessons from investing from like other stuff, like even trading cards or stocks or real estate or whatever. Like these are all important reference points that like form your strategy and form like you as an investor, right? You really do have to like make the mistakes you need to make to get to the point where when you see a generational opportunity, you're actually ready to like surf that wave the way it needs to be surfed. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean for sure. And sometimes you could be right about something, but you're too early to the party.
Yeah.
Um, and if you just sit on your hands, eventually, if you're right about it, it'll pay off. But sometimes, things are too early for the market. I'm sure, if you went back, a number of years, um, you know, let's say back in, I don't know, 1960s, 50s, if you brought up electric cars, people be like, why do I need electric cars? I'll just use gas, you know?
Yeah.
Like if
Exactly.
so it'd be too early for that time if that had been an innovation at that point in time. But now it's very relevant. We obviously know the reason why we need and how electric cars could be useful. But yeah, it all comes full circle in the end.
For sure, man.
Yeah. All right. I guess I don't know, we're like 50 minutes in. You want to wrap it up? I think we should
Yeah,
wrap
I
it
mean,
up.
it's been a good chat. I mean, it's not our usual format. Don't have a guest this week, but
For sure.
Oh,
Yeah, hopefully next week we'll get a guest on. I mean, Function was our one and only guest so far, but hopefully we'll have some new guests, new insights. So it's not just me and Legend, back and forth ourselves. Although I think we do have good conversation regardless. But yeah, you could also let us know either in the comments or on Twitter. Like, just let us know like who you'd like us to reach out to, who to get on the podcast, and we'd love to reach out to them.
yeah, definitely. And, we didn't really cover it, but I think a lot has already been said on Twitter. But obviously, if you're listening to this and you've been affected by the Terra Luna, like UST meltdown, uh, feels really bad. And, hope you're doing all right. Just remember, this is crypto. Only in crypto would you see a minus 99% 3 days in a row, right? Iced.
Yeah,
So,
that was unbelievable, dude. I mean, I was shorting Luna since like $35.
man,
Once that started to depeg, um, but I know like a lot of people had like even their life savings, dude. Like I know like a lot of people lost a lot of money, and I was I
yeah,
was really feeling for them. I was like, like if I lost that type of money, I'd be like I don't know how I'd get over myself, but
crazy stuff.
I can
But
really feel for them. Yeah,
my 2 cents is don't ever invest money you can't afford to lose. And if it, starts with a rebase or
the thing, dude.
algorithmic, I don't touch it.
The thing was the craziest part was like people felt that it was guaranteed money staking their UST, for
Yep.
20-30% yearly rates because it was a stable coin, you know?
Yep.
Um, it just
Stablecoin
sucks.
backed by volatile assets. That's kind of a
It
contradiction.
sucks. I don't want to, I guess it is, but I don't know that much about how it works. I just know, the surface level. Um, so I won't necessarily speak on it too much, but I don't think I'm qualified for it. But yeah, um, yeah, my heart goes out to anybody who lost, obviously a significant amount of money.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say is just I hope the NFT projects are cool over there. There's a whole NFT scene that got wiped out. So, if you guys are building something cool on Terra, or you were, hit me up and let's see if we can get you guys over to Solana.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys listening. Make sure, obviously, to subscribe, follow us on Twitter, and leave a like and leave a comment. We'd love to hear feedback. It'd be really, really appreciated. All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.